Hey folks, Sean here. And in this episode, I want to talk to you about how you can build something pretty remarkable without having to invent any new technology. Now, when I'm working with early stage folks and founders of software or SaaS companies in a consulting or coaching arrangement, I often hear and feel quite a bit of pressure on them in terms of I get responses like, well, that we're not inventing anything, or we haven't created something new in that way, or we don't have any revolutionary ideas or some type of technology that's going to differentiate us from the crowd. I hear a lot of these and I consider all of them to be distractions. I think it's a misconception that with whatever it is you're building, you need to do something in a truly unique and inventive way. You need to create and bring the new iPhone to market, for example. People see that oftentimes as the definition of product success. I would argue that something like that is more of like a revolutionary change in terms of the effect that it had on the mass market. But my point here is that you really do not need to do almost anything innovative from the perspective of creating new technology. There is, increasingly so every day, especially now with AI, there are better and better tools coming to market every day, which enable you to build better products. But that doesn't require you to have to invent any form of a new technology. This goes all the way back to grad school for me, but the story of Henry Ford creating Ford Motor Company and the assembly line, right? As part of that story, a lot of people think that Henry Ford invented the assembly line. That part's not true. Henry Ford popularized its usage, which is what I'm advocating you do, right? Saw existing technology that could help them create better products and meet better demand, produce at a different level than anyone was capable of before. Same thing is possible for you as well too in building your software or SaaS business. And the story I want to share about that is a story of Uber. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Uber, and I'm sure you're not, it essentially replaced the taxi industry because it created a better experience. But the unique element to the Uber story I think a lot of people don't focus on is the fact that Uber didn't really create any new technology in order to bring that experience to market. And that's really what it was, a better experience, right? It solved the bigger problem. People were complaining about taxis for various reasons. They were unreliable, didn't accept certain forms of payment. Many of them were dirty, had bad experiences, etc. All of those problems were intended to be solved by one solution. That one solution was Uber, where from your phone, you could call a driver to wherever you were. That was already a huge improvement. They would show up in a relatively short period of time. When they rolled it out, they had professional drivers with nice, clean cars, and you could handle payments all on with the convenience of your phone. Punch your credit card in, that was all automatic. You didn't have to exchange currency back and forth between cab drivers, especially in a situation where efficiency was at a premium, right? It was really important to get between A and B as fast as possible. That was part of the experience that we were looking for. Uber provided a much better solution there. But the key here is that no real inventive or completely new technology went into that. If we break down the experience that they provided, it was largely repurposing existing technology, just like the story of Henry Ford, right? So there were already drivers out there. Those drivers, for the most part, many of them already had cars. In addition to that, almost everyone had a mobile phone at the time that was in their target market. From said mobile phone, you could create an app, install that app. That app could accept payments, and GPS technology was built into phones as well too. So if you wanted to find out where anybody was, you just needed access to that on the phone, and then all of a sudden you could find each other. Driver could find the person that wanted to be driven, and then the driver can use the GPS on their phone to navigate them from point A to point B, wherever it was that the passenger wanted to go. So now, Uber obviously had a dramatic impact on the world, realistically, that service is available globally to a large extent today, but it changed transportation almost forever. And, there's so much to be said about them being like one of the larger, arguably like transportation companies in the world, but not owning any cars and stuff like that. So created a very different experience, but solved a very specific problem. But the point here that I'm really making is that they did it without having to really invent any new technology. They just took existing options that were available already, could combine them together in a unique way to create a new experience that solved a top problem that a specific target market had. And that's one of the reasons why what they built was so revolutionary. And they were able to do so rather quickly as well, also because a lot of that technology already existed. So I'm here to tell you in this episode that you can relieve a lot of that pressure on yourself to create something completely new from a technological perspective. The solution design work, the engineering that you're doing, that doesn't really need to be all that innovative. I would highly recommend that instead you look at what are the existing options and tools available on the market already that help me create most cost effectively and efficiently better experience than the one that exists today, right? Understand what the top problem worth solving is for that target market. Understand their existing solution in terms of how they're solving it today, right? Think taxis. Find all the problems with that experience, just like we went through in this episode, and then create a solution with that existing technology that provides a better experience. If you follow that pattern, that will relieve a lot of pressure, make your job a lot easier, and enable you to bring a better solution to market significantly faster and more cost effectively.